right, Bert, why don't you give us, if you'd be kind enough, give us a read questions 1 through 6 on exam 72.
A radio station airs hourly news updates every morning. Each update consists of exactly 5 reports, 2 of general interest, which is international and national, and 3 of local interest, which is sports, traffic, and weather. Each update must be structured as follows. The first structure is there are exactly 2 segments. The first segment containing 3 reports and the second segment containing 2. And the second constraint is within each segment, reports are ordered by length from longest to shortest.
Okay.
The third one is each segment contains at least 1 report of local interest. And then we have the national report is always the longest.
Okay, and now we're at some point we left and went into the constraints.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would do is I would just have stopped at, here is where they stopped. They just said, okay, the big picture here, because what that allows you to do, Bert, is you want to get to the colon and say, is it assignment driven? Is it order driven? Is it both? Is it pure conditional? Is it rules driven? So just from that, you would say, the first thing you have to assign a category, right? In other words, when you do N, national thing, you've always got to put a G with it, right? When you do T, you always got to put an L with it. So that's attribution or assignment. But now they're giving us order. Because now they're talking from longest to shortest, right? So it's going from left to right, longest to shortest. So this is both order and attribution or assignment. So now that's how you look at this, right? So, all right. Now I want to see, are they going to let me create 2 or 3 universes where I can visualize and take what was abstract and make it make it seeable. Okay, so it's both linear and it's assignment. And now right. Okay, so what do I got?
And they got each segment contain at least 1 report of local interest. Did I write that yet?
Yeah, I have that. So we have a min 1 and a min 1L here. Okay.
And then the national report is always the longest of the 5 reports. The national
Okay, so N,
is the longest.
which is G, and you just have to be patient. This is the longest of all the reports. Is that what it said?
Of the 5 reports. Yes.
Okay.
And then sports report is always the shortest of the 5 reports.
Sports is always the shortest. So sports is going to be the shortest. And sports, again, you got to make sure you're carrying along this L with it. Okay. What else?
International report is always longer than the weather report.
And I, which again is a general report, is longer than W, which is a local report. Okay, anything else?
That's it.
That's it. And so you say, I have all the constraints, right? Here are my constraints, here's my universe. I'm going to organize with both the linear component and with order and with assignment here. And now I want to see, how do I create 2 or 3 universes? Well, if N is the longest report, right? Doesn't that mean N's got to either be here or here? Because it said the reports went from longest to shortest. It didn't say they kept getting shorter as you went into that second sequence, right? So I'm going to bifurcate that N, which is a general report, is either here or here. I'm done with the N. Does everybody see what I've done? Now again, if you misread the law, you're screwed, because if there's somebody, I imagine, thinking that longest to shortest meant, this has to be longer than that because this is further to the right, but that's not what it said. It said there are exactly 2 segments, first containing 3 reports and the second containing 2. So nothing prohibits this from being the longest report. You guys see it? Okay, so the goal is to take this stuff, right, from the abstract, make it visual. So now I have the S, right? And the S has got to be the shortest report. Well, if you want to visualize it, doesn't that mean the S is either here, 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 or here? Because it's got to be the shortest, right? So put it in. Don't create multiple hypotheticals on it because you have to manage, right? So you take the S, and keep in mind, right, that the S is a local. And that's either got to be here, or here, or here, or here. And then you say, I've now visualized, we started out with 5, right? Is it fair to say we're now visualizing 2 of the 5? Okay. And then just come back over here. Okay, and I's got to come before W. So I want my bank. I want everything in one place. So I is going to have to come before W. And again, I is a general, and W is a local. And then the last thing I have, there was no information here on T. Make sure we make that I. And T, which is a local report, that can go anywhere. Do you get, you now have to manage? Would it be fair to say that on every hypothetical we've done, if you kind of get this, right? Organize and then manage. Is there some hypothetical that hasn't responded to that? No. That's what they're testing. Don't you think you have to do that as a lawyer? Wouldn't it help you want to learn this if you can't be a lawyer without it, as opposed to some kind of trick? So I'm done. Right? Yeah, I got to manage a little bit here, right? This is, I'd like it a little more concrete. Hey, move on, that's life. So now I want to look for the issue. You look at number 2, right? And that's the type of issue I want to break in. In other words, I'm not doing number 2 because it's number 2. Number 2 says, if the traffic report is the last report in the first segment, how much more concrete can they be? Do you guys see it? So you say, okay, and then they say, what's got to be true? So I don't need their answer choices. If the traffic is the last report in the first segment, well, then it's here, or it's there, right? Well, gosh, who's the last report in the second segment? Sports. So I don't know that that's the answer, but is it fair to say that must be true? That if we're on the top hypothetical, sports is going to be the last report in the second segment. If we're on the bottom hypothetical, sports is going to be the last report in the second segment. It may not be the answer, but wouldn't you like to just check to see if that's there? How much time will that take? And choice E says what?
Sports report is the last report in the second segment.
And you're done. You're done. You understand you're not looking at A, you're not looking at B, you're not looking at C, you're not looking at D. You're being rewarded for reasoning this way. And it's not easy, and there is no trick to this. This is, you have to prepare. If you don't prepare, you shouldn't be a lawyer. So does that help? And wouldn't that now tell you, not that you're not going to have struggles as you go into individual questions, but doesn't that tell you you basically have the law? That's what analytical reasoning is. You have to create the law. They're giving you the raw material for the law. And they're saying to you, now, Mr. Attorney, go create the law. And when you create the law, it will solve the issues that apply to that law. It's like a principle question in logical reasoning. You got the principle, it'll solve any illustration that comes up. But you got to understand what the principle is. You got to understand what the law is, and here you got to create the law. It's a great test. Yes, did that help?
Yeah, I just skipped that one. But I found the other two wasn't much I could imagine. But this one I just.
But you see it now. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.